Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County Forum for candidates for City of Lynnwood Council Position 1. Excuse me, I'm Karen Matson, a member of the League, and we thank you for joining us. Let me provide some background on this position. The City Council is the legislative body of city government that establishes policy, provides direction to the mayor, and provides a framework for city administration to respond to community needs. They manage basic public services like sewer, water, fire, police, roads, parks, etc. And they establish and enforce local laws which affect individuals and businesses, including local taxes. The City Council controls how land can be used and provides direction to the mayor. Candidates for City Council do not declare a political party preference. Candidates for the City of Lynnwood Council Position 1 are Dio Busigas, Derica Escamilla, and Brandon Kimmel. Mr. Kimmel will not be joining this forum. It's the policy of the League to be nonpartisan. Therefore, we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or parties. The rules for participation in this forum were sent ahead of time to all candidates, and they have all agreed to follow them. I will pose the questions. I will clearly state the amount of time allowed for each answer. We're using a countdown timer, which is visible to all the candidates and to me, and the time limits on answers will be strictly enforced. The order for responses to the first question, determined in a random way, will be Ms. Escamilla, followed by Mr. Busigas. I'll then alternate candidates in the starting position to ensure a fair sequence. So with that, let's begin. Candidates will have 90 seconds to respond to this first question. And Ms. Escamilla, your question is, what are your top priorities for this office? And please explain why you're focusing on these priorities.
My top priorities for the Lynnwood City Council Position 1 office is housing, affordability, and safety with a focus on youth advocacy. These things are important to me because this day and age, we don't have enough housing, much less affordable housing. We're in a very unique situation in Lynnwood where we are rolling in the mandates for the middle housing. We have our light rail that has just come in this year, and we have a heavy retail area. So there's not a lot of municipalities that have that exact same mix as Lynnwood. And so I think it's really important that we embrace the change, that we're also keeping junctures and just being aligned with our community. And for me, the youth, this year alone, we've lost 3 underage children, youth in the city of Lynnwood for different reasons at the hands of guns. And so I'm really focusing on the youth in line with the safety, to try to hear from our youth and advocate for them. And I'm trying to launch our first ever Lynnwood Youth Council, because it's that important to me. I feel there's a gap, and we're very detached from this day and age, and there's a lot of things that we don't understand. And so those are the things that are most important to me for the city of Lynnwood.
Thank you. Mr. Busigas, same question.
First off, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for holding this forum today. So my priorities are as follows: budget and growth management, restoring trust and transparency in city government, and thirdly is public safety. So let's talk about the budget and growth management. What I simply want to do is I want to have good budgets, right? I want to make sure that we aren't out taxing the middle and working class. Look, I'm a working class individual myself, right? I'm a proud card carrying union member. I got my card right here. And so what unfortunately has happened is that last year, a 52% property tax increase was passed and respectfully was voted for by my opponent, Ms. Escamilla. What I want to do is I want to stop tax and spend, and I want to ensure that we have a responsible, very responsible city government that truly cares about being responsible stewards of taxpayer money. And then secondly, about growth management. We have 308,000 new people who are going to be coming into Snohomish County within the next couple of years, according to County Council Member Jared Mead. Many of them are going to be living in Lynnwood because of how affordable we are. And so we need to ensure that we have the necessary infrastructure to be able to welcome these new residents into our community, and including making sure that we work with our public works director to ensure that our sewage facilities are ready for that big population boom. Secondly, restoring trust and transparency in city
Thank you
government.
very much, Mr. Busigas. I appreciate your response. Now we move on to the second question, and you have a chance to lead off. You've just told us about your top priorities for this office, so now tell us, please, what qualifications and experience make you a good choice to address those priorities?
Thank you. Yes, I am the labor candidate in this race. I've been endorsed by my own union, UFCW 3000, and the Elevator Constructors Union, Local 19. I am a working class union member, right? I am a labor guy. So that is a perspective that is direly needed on the city council, and I believe in city councils all over the country. So not only do I bring that perspective, but I bring a leadership perspective as well. I'm a department lead at my store. And one of the things that we are to do as a department lead is to manage budgets. And what that means is not over ordering or not under ordering products so that we can ensure that we contribute to the healthy bottom line for the store. When you're in leadership, you need to be able to exercise collaborative leadership. So it's not all about you, it's about making sure you bring all the right people to come in, your colleagues on the city council, being able to work with them to get the job done for the city council. No egos, no drama, nothing like that. Just making sure you come in and get the job of the city done. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Ms. Escamilla?
I'm the granddaughter of migrant workers and the first in my family to graduate from both high school and college. I'm the proud mom of three, and I hold a resource and environmental studies degree with a certificate in water resource management. I have sat on council for 1 year and have the experience of being on council. And on top of that, I bring nearly 2 decades of lived experience from coaching basketball in 12 years to serving on key committees in the city of Lynnwood. I started out with the Economic Development Advisory Board, then I moved on to the South Lynnwood Neighborhood Design Committee, and the last one that I did was the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee. Professionally, I've served on the Northwest Association of Women in Construction, along with Women in Environment. I advocate in the industry and I mentor because it's important to me. I think my construction background and working with unions throughout my entire career has been valuable, and that lived experience. My kid's father is a union worker and second generation carpenter. So my boys have been union covered their entire lives. I'm come from a blue collar family. And so I think that all of those attributes, and plus having served on council and doing what I said I was going to do at the beginning, are what make me a valuable council candidate.
Thank you very much. Timer, please note that the candidates will have 60 seconds to respond to each of the next questions. Please adjust the clock accordingly. And Ms. Escamilla, you lead off on this one. Given competing and conflicting priorities, what factors will guide your finance and budgeting decisions?
For me, it's really about listening. First of all and foremost, you have to take in everything that's presented to you. Anything that's being presented to council is important to the city and or the community. It's something that we're going to have to vote on or pass. I go into every single council meeting and agenda item with an open mind and no personal biases. I do my research and I ask the community for how they feel on something. And matter of fact, if I know that there's someone on council that is strongly opposed, I have no problem advocating to hear their side. I always advocate to hear both sides of any issue on the agenda. And I have no problems, changing my mind on something. What's important to me is that the needs of the community and the people that I perceive to be my constituents, I'm adequately representing out there.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Busigas, same question?
Yeah, very simple question. My finance and budget priorities are quite simply thus. We have to make sure that we fund our Lynnwood PD and our regional public safety partnerships and the Lynnwood municipal courts. I want to bring back the school resource officers into our schools. Now, I know as a city council member, we can't necessarily do that, but that's something for which I would advocate. Secondly, what I would want to do is not be a rubber stamp for any new tax increases. We've been overtaxed a lot, particularly as the working class. That's the perspective that I bring. So one of the things that I want to do is to have a process and fiscal audit by an independent third party to ensure that we are making sure that it's an audit of the city to ensure that we are spending our money right, taxpayer money right, that we are doing things right. So my priorities, we got to make sure we fund our public safety partnerships and have good budgets. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Mr. Villegas, you have first say on this next question. What changes, if any, would you like to see in how the city of Lynnwood is run?
Yeah, so one of the things that I would want to see have happen is I feel that we have great communication within the city, but a lot of residents don't feel that we have a lot of great communication. What I would want to do is I want to ensure that we increase information going to residents. We have a lot of great public informational meetings. I think that we should look into expanding that. A lot of folks are talking about coyote attacks and coyote sightings. We need to have a public informational meeting about that. A lot of residents, when I've been going doorbelling, they've been telling me that that's something that they want to see the city address. That's something that the city doesn't address. That's something that goes to the state. That's a state agency that deals with that. But residents don't know that. So I believe we need to have something like that. And in addition to that, we need to recodify the board of ethics, the code of ethics in the city.
Ms. Escamilla, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Dio very much so in that Lynnwood does a great job of putting information out there on various platforms where I feel that we could do better, and something that has been a council priority this year is meeting the community where they're at rather than having them come to us. For some reason, we tend to have things at religious buildings, and I feel like that's a barrier for a lot of people. Even if they wanted to come, they might not agree with that religion or don't think it's right to go to a different church. And so what we talk about and what I want to do and advocate for is going into the cities and like talking to them, going into the senior living. For example, we have a break in our utility rates. I fear that they don't even know about it because they're not up to par on technology and they don't get the things. Yes, we're tabling somewhere, but can they go? So I really want to advocate to get to our people.
Thank you for that. Ms. Escamilla, you get to weigh in first on this next one, and that is, what will you do to support a vibrant economy in Lynnwood?
We just got to keep on pushing forward and supporting our small businesses, our retail partners, really working with them on the issues that they have going on that our law enforcement agencies are constantly dealing with. I have a vision of being connected and multimodal. I want a Lynnwood where we do projects, but we have local set-asides where we're infusing our local economy because we put a set-aside to a project for minority, women, and disadvantaged business enterprises. And not only that, maybe even a local set-aside where we can say, hey, this percentage of the project, we want Lynnwood contractors. And then you can truly live, work, and play in Lynnwood and really feed our local economy when you start looking at these other avenues of infusing our own city. Thank you.
Mr. Villegas, your thoughts on a vibrant economy in Lynnwood?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I would ensure is that and I got to go back to this, the city property tax increase. We do something that Ms. Escamilla said that I agree with. We have to support our small businesses. One of the ways that we do that is by not raising their property taxes, their city property taxes, like Ms. Escamilla voted to do so. And again, I say that respectively. But we need to ensure that their property taxes aren't raised. You fully fund our public safety with our Lynnwood PD, who are down 7 officers, right? We need to make sure that they're fully funded to keep those streets safe, and that supports a vibrant economy. I'm a working class guy, right? I'm a labor guy, I'm a union guy. One of the things that I would like to do is on our public works projects, I want to make sure that we bring in union workers to do so. We have community workforce agreements, stuff like that, to ensure that we are employing Lynnwood workers primarily. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Next question is yours to begin with. What measures, if any, Mr. Basigas, would you propose or support to keep housing options affordable in Lynnwood?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things that I would like to see happen is we need to look, we have a lot of people coming into the city. Like I said, 308,000 in Snohomish County, a lot of them will be coming into Lynnwood. The way that we make sure that we keep housing low and affordable for folks is that we have to build housing. What I'm suggesting that we do is along Highway 99 in Lynnwood, we have an economic opportunity zone where we offer a deferral, a tax deferral for new construction, whether it be for apartment buildings or something that I would like to see happen, especially as a young guy. People in my generation, millennials and Gen Zers, like to live in condominiums. What I would like to see happen is we need more condominiums in our city. When we have more diverse housing options in the city, that helps to keep projects low. And also, let's not raise our property taxes so high.
Ms. Escamilla, affordable housing thoughts?
Yes. So Lynnwood has adopted the state's zoning mandates to allow all types of middle housing in residential zones. I fully supported and voted for that. And I also fully supported transit-oriented development and mixed-use buildings with mixed income housing. I support multifamily tax exemption projects, which will bring developers to our city to build the condominiums and all the things that we're missing in Lynnwood so that people can have somewhere, again, aligned with, my housing priorities. We should also explore rent stabilization policies and maybe even consider raising the minimum wage in Lynnwood. I think these steps would all support, both our housing goals and our local economy. And, just circling back to that property tax increase, if we hadn't passed that, we would have had to let go of at least 10 police officers that were funded with ARPA money. So there's a lot behind the scenes that people don't understand about that property tax increase. And I would love to answer any questions about that.
Ms. Escamilla, aside from affordable housing options, what other measures would you propose to address homelessness in your city?
Well, this is one of the things that, I don't think that it is a coincidence that I stepped in as the Human Services Liaison to the Human Services Commission. And and I jumped into that role. I have already met with the Pallet Shelter Company and seeing how they could possibly bring the Pallet Shelter Company. It's a mini wraparound service shelter that'll come on site with a communal like laundry and meeting area and wraparound services. They're not meant to be permanent. The city of Everett has a successful one that they manage with the Everett Gospel Mission. And so I have already brought and introduced the Pallet Shelter Company to the city of Lynnwood. I'm talking with the private citizens that own property that, are thinking about building a shelter in the city of Lynnwood. So these are things that are important to me that I'm already working on. I would love to see a safe parking site in the city of Lynnwood.
Mr. Basigas, what say you?
So homelessness is an issue that's deeply personal to me. When I was a little boy moving to Southern California for the first time with my family, we were very briefly homeless. We lived in a lot that a friend of my mom's brother owned. And it was in an abandoned Greyhound bus. And so you really get to understand what really matters in life when you're homeless. Even if you live in a Greyhound bus, you learn to appreciate a lot more things in life. And What that's done for me is given me a little bit of a different perspective than a lot of people have who haven't been homeless. What I would want to do is I would want to make sure that we treat our homeless around Lynnwood with compassion and just treat them with respect as human beings. I want to ensure that we have our embedded social workers in our police departments to ensure that if they need help, they can get help.
Karen, you're on mute.
Pardon me, Ms. Matson, you are on mute.
My traditional hold down the spacebar system isn't working anymore. I apologize. So we're shifting to talk about climate change now. And the question for you, Mr. Busigas, first is, what actions, if any, should be taken to address the effects of climate change in your city? Please explain.
Yeah, well, I already like what our city is doing already. We have lots of transit throughout the city. Like I said, we're preparing for the population boom that we are set to experience in the next couple of years. We have Lynnwood Transit Center, right? And then we have the light rail that just came a couple of years ago. That's been fantastic. And then we also have all of our transit throughout the city that goes everywhere you need to go. So we have all these different policies that are already in place in the city of Lynnwood. So I'm pretty confident, and I'm pretty happy with what the city is already doing. All the programs that we already have in place to ensure that we are as green as possible to support a clean environment. Because who doesn't want a clean environment? To prepare for the new arrivals coming into the city, something that we may want to look into as a city is seeing if we need more stops, if we need anything else that can contribute to a healthier population.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Escamilla, climate change? Ms. Escamilla, we're not able to hear you.
Oh, I didn't have to unmute for the other question. So sorry. With regards to climate change, I think, as an environmental scientist, near and dear to my heart, always environmental protection. And I think we can start by continuing to support tree planting initiatives to increase our canopy cover. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of urban heat islands, but basically it depends on how much asphalt and pavement that a city might have, and you can actually impact the temperature of your city if you don't have enough tree cover. So I really want to advocate on that. I want to advocate maybe on some cooling centers during hot periods of time. Again, just to be sustainable and, we have somewhere safe and cool for our people to go to. I believe in stormwater management and green infrastructure. We've been doing a lot of stream restoration in our phase 1 and phase 2 Scriber Creek and Scriber Lake projects. And so anything that we can do in the environment to promote climate change and advocate, I'm for.
Thank you very much. And you get the first say on this next question, and that is, what actions, if any, should the city take to address diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and practices?
Well, I believe the city of Lynnwood has taken the important steps of, first and foremost, hiring a diversity, equity, and inclusion staff member. We didn't have that 5 years ago. And it is my understanding that we started internally. Our DEI justice coordinator went through our systems, and he started off with each department's policies to check for any implicit any biases, anything that doesn't, there's a whole list of things that he had said to me. And so it is my understanding the city has gone through the effort of starting internally through all their systems, all of their policies, HR stuff, looked at demographics. And now I believe they're going outward. We are doing a lot of events, bringing outreach, and we have a diversity, equity, and inclusion commission that he is a staff liaison to. So we're just going to keep growing in that world. We're just getting started.
Thank you very much, Mr. Busigas. What say you?
Yeah, so I'm a singer-songwriter guitarist. That's one of my one of my very many backgrounds. And my fourth policy point that I didn't get to mention earlier was fostering the arts, culture, and entertainment in the city of Lynnwood. Not many people talk about at least in my experience and in many other people's experiences, the lack of arts, the lack of culture, the lack of entertainment in the city, right? When people in Lynnwood, they go out to have fun, right? Not very many of them say, "Oh, I'm gonna stay in Lynnwood to have fun because there's a great comedy club, there's a great comedy act going on, right?" A lot of people go to all these other different cities, and one of my ideas, if we want to talk about and equity, if you foster the arts, entertainment, and culture in the city, you bring in all these diverse different types of folks with different backgrounds, racial backgrounds, all that. And it could be a different art background too. You do that, and that's how it comes
Thank you,
naturally.
sir. We appreciate those thoughts. Mr. Busigas, you have first say on this next question. What is a strategy which could be used to enhance collaboration in your work on the council? Give us an example of how you have used this strategy.
Yeah, so when it comes to collaborative leadership, right, that's something that I'm committed to. One way that we can best foster that is by getting to know members of the city council. As if I'm elected to this position, if I have the honor of doing so, one of the things I want to do is I want to foster good relationships with my colleagues, right? If you have trust in your colleagues and they have trust in you, they know that they can count on you to be able to be in there and to be able to work together collaboratively to get the job of the city done. And in my personal life, well, let's just go with my work life. As a department leader at my store, at my work, I have to be a collaborative leader. I have to make sure to dole out tasks to the people that I manage, right? So I already have this history, and talking with other department leaders too, and to the people who are above me, I already have this experience of collaborative leadership. So that's what I would want to bring to the city. Just let's work together, get the job done.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Escamilla, your thoughts on enhancing collaboration?
I mean, I'm doing it already. We have right out the gate, you start, I started my position with reaching out to my council members to have one-on-ones to get to know them because like Dio said, you really want to know, you don't have to agree on everything, but we need to be professionals out there and we need to be able to see other people's perspectives and be okay with maybe even possibly changing our perspectives, getting to know the city department heads and going on city department tours enhances and really nurtures that collaboration as well. And on top of that, I wouldn't have thought it to be a strategy. It was more of a halo effect, but I could see it be used as a strategy on a topic that's coming up maybe later in the agenda or later in the year. You form a task group and you really get to know and hash out and get in the weeds of your differences to either agree to disagree or collaborate and come together.
Thank you for that. Ms. Escamilla, we didn't ask a lot of questions tonight. I'm sure there's something else you'd like to talk about. What additional issues or information would you like to bring to the attention of our listeners?
Well, I would honestly like to address the property tax increase because a lot of people are just unaware, and an op-ed was wrote. And so we were presented a budget, and in that budget, we were told that over 13, maybe 20, don't misquote me, but a lot of positions were funded with ARPA money. And if we didn't fund up to this amount, we would have to cut. And I know at least 10 of them were police officers. So imagine, he says we're 7 short now, and if we had 10 less. And so we would have had a 47, I think, percent tax increase anyways, just to keep the people that were already on staff. And then we got presented with 13 additional positions. And it was through my diplomacy and reaching across and asking the questions that we ultimately ended up at 57. We could have been at 63. So I just really want people to know that we would have been losing things and you would have been on standby for a lot more.
Mr. Busigas, any additional issues or information?
Yes, really quickly, how much time do we get for this section? I'm sorry, you were on mute. I apologize.
Just 1 minute.
Just 1 minute? Okay, yeah, understood. Okay, so I read that op-ed by Councilmember George Hurst in the Lynnwood Times, and it was very thought-provoking and incredibly insightful. Additionally, like Ms. Escamilla said, it was a 27% tax increase, and that's something I would have been in favor of. And it would have been a 6 point something $1 million increase, which again, no one likes taxes, but you have to get the job done, right? But what is concerning to me and what is concerning to a lot of residents is who actually have read into the budget and who have looked into the various articles in various newspapers is 52% is a lot. It is a lot. And what is concerning to me is, and one of the reasons why I want to make sure that we have that fiscal and process audit is, are we spending the money as efficiently and effectively as we can? And are we doing things at the city government level as effectively and efficiently as we can? So in order to create trust, which is something that I want to restore in the city council, we have to ensure that we have that audit complete.
Appreciate
and that's
that.
why I'm skeptical
Thank you.
for that increase. Thank you.
Mr. Busigas, you have first say on the last question, and the final question is this. Please tell us something about your life experience that might surprise or intrigue voters.
Yeah, so one of the things that I find that probably not a lot of people know about me unless you know me on a personal level is that I am very much a Lego enthusiast, right? One of the things that I would like to see is I've been building Lego sets ever since I was a little boy, so for over 30 years almost. And in that time, I've started to understand that when you're building Lego, right, you start to develop a different perspective, a depth and sensory perception that you wouldn't necessarily think of, that bodes very well for the STEM fields. So what I would like to see in schools, what I would like to see, maybe it's being already done, is I would like to see a lot more building with Lego, and specifically with Technic pieces. Anyone who knows Lego knows what I'm talking about with Technic pieces. But that really helps to develop a young mind for the STEM fields from an early age. And I'm a
Thank you,
working
sir.
class.
Appreciate that. Ms. Escamilla?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Of course, I'm happy to. Please tell us something about your life experience that might surprise or intrigue voters.
Um, I'm an open book. I really don't think that anything would surprise voters. I'm very active on my social media, and the minute I took council, I opened up a LinkedIn specifically to show the city, to give them a place to comment, to vent, to ask, and also so they could see what I was doing out in the community. I think that people honestly might be surprised that I've worked my butt off my entire life, and nothing has been handed to me. And that I never intended or meant to be a politician. I think that I'm here for a reason. And at various junctures throughout this last year, I've been confirmed that I'm where exactly I'm supposed to be, which is to represent my community. And so I don't think there's anything that wouldn't surprise people that they wouldn't think.
Thank you. Thanks very much. The League thanks both of these candidates for joining us and for running for office. We encourage our audience to explore additional information about these and all candidates. Recordings of all League forums are available on the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County website, on YouTube, and on podcast channels. You can find links at lwvsnoho.org. If you prefer written responses, vote411.org, sponsored by the League, is another good source of information. Ballots and your Snohomish County voter pamphlet will be mailed starting Thursday, July 17th, and Election Day is Tuesday, August 5th. Please be a voter. Thank you to our League Candidate Forum team, to the Candidate Forum Coalition, and special thanks to Dave Moon and the Sultan High School students at TurkPride.tv who made this production possible. And of course, thank all of you for joining us. This concludes our candidate forum.